on yeah, let's get started. So my name is Birgi Lamizana, and I am a member of the Commission of Ecosystem Management within IUCN, and together with the wonderful team of CM members and scientific research, we come up with this book on wetland and people at risk. And today we are taking this opportunity to present you some of the findings of this book. So we are going from faith to faith. So let's begin. And we know that wetlands and people at risk, it's seek really to bring awareness of importance at risk wetland system in different world regions by portraying the status, also the problem and conflict related to human impact, as well as the effect of the loss of their ecosystem services on people's livelihood. We will have examples from all over the world for Africa, Asia, Europe, and America. And as we know, wetlands are among the world's most productive and valuable ecosystems. They are natural reservoirs for our biodiversity. They provide ecosystem services and critical livelihood for many populations. We know the importance of what they are providing to humanity and to the ecosystem and the environment. However, we are not treating them very well sometimes, most often, I would say. The conservation have been treated worldwide by accelerated change in land or water use, diversion, conversion of land, abstractions, and at time when drought hit every continent, climate change is worsening, the world is facing dramatic water and energy and sometimes food crises. We need to acknowledge the contribution of healthy wetlands to the solution that they brought, and that they are the key to solving many of the problems we are facing. So this webinar is offering us a space for a dialogue. It will be a dialogue which will be, we will have panelists from the authors and co-authors of this book. And we will have I expect really in looking to a very exciting 1.5 hours of interactions. We will do this webinar following the structure of the book, and the book has 4 sections. These sections are divided according to the biome. We have the terrestrial wetlands, so we will be talking about that, followed by the riverine wetlands, the island wetlands, and the coastal wetlands. So without further ado, I will give the floor to the first interveners and speakers of the first section, which is dealing with terrestrial wetlands. And we will hear from the section 1 on the example of the tablets of National Park in Spain. We will have example from North Macedonia, and we will also have examples from the drying Kavni Lake from Iran, and we will conclude by an example from the Lake Fukune from Colombia. So if Africa, if you are connected, you can take the floor, present us a bit your section, your chapter. What is the challenges? What is the actions which has been taken, and what lesson can we learn going forward to really help us move from the faith we are seeing to the faith we are having?
Important component हैन, त्यसरी पनि गर्न सक्छौं। अब यहाँ तपाईले हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ हैन, कहाँ हुन सक्छ त भन्दाखेरि ओसनको हैन हाइड्रोस्फियरको उसमा पनि हुन सक्छ यो
I don't know who is speaking right now.
हैन एटमोस्फियरलाई पनि टु सम एक्सटेन्ट लिथोस्फियरको कुनै फोर्सले गरिरहेको छ इट क्यान
Okay. Can I ask the first speaker, Africa, to take the floor and present us some of the work? I hope you are connected. The first section of the speakers and panelists will be Nadezda, will be Lourdes, will be Sadiq. So any of you want to start, you have 5 minutes to take us through the exciting finding you had and the experience we have on coming up with this book. Unfortunately, I can't see you. So if someone like Mariana, if you can help me identify the speakers so that they can take the floor.
Yes, Birgit, I am asking them to activate their microphone right now.
Thank you. So I am seeing Sadiq on the screen. Maybe if you can start.
Is it my turn? I'm the second speaker, right?
Okay, so please go ahead. I cannot see, so yeah, please go ahead.
Shall I start?
I hope you can share your speaker if you have a presentation,
okay.
But you have the floor.
Okay, I'm going to share with you. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen. We can hear what you're saying, so go ahead.
Okay, so just a sec so that I can. Okay, is it okay now? Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so okay, good afternoon, everyone. From Spain, from Valencia. My name is Nadezda Apostolova. I'm actually originally from North Macedonia, and I will be presenting a little bit our book chapter, which is written by 3 authors, as you can see, and we're all from different countries. So we're a good example of collaboration. Daniel Scary and myself, we are members of Ohrid SOS, which I'm also glad to present here. We are citizen initiative, which is located in Macedonia, and we are dedicated to Ohrid and Prespa region, the one you can see here on the map on your right. So the book chapter that we wrote deals with one wetland called Studentiște wetland. And this is the last remaining wetland on the shores of Ohrid Lake. So the location of this wetland is indicated here with an arrow on the shores of Ohrid Lake. So for those of you who may not be familiar with this part of the world, on the Balkan Peninsula in Europe, this is a very important area, actually one of the most important maybe lake systems in the world, because we're talking about very old ancient lakes here. Ohrid Lake is at least 1 million years old. It is the oldest lake, definitely the oldest lake in Europe, and one of the oldest in the world. Ohrid Lake is designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, both because of its cultural and its natural heritage. So this is one of the few double designated sites. And Ohrid Lake, together with Prespa Lake, has been designated also as a UNESCO Transboundary Biosphere in 2014. So we are dealing here really with a very important area, not only for Macedonia or for the Balkan Peninsula, but also I think clearly important worldwide. So this is the wetland that you can see here on the, I don't know if I can point, if I have a pointer, so I'm not sure. Let's see. Anyway, you can see it here on the left. So this is about 60 hectares. Unfortunately, this is just the small remnant of what once used to be much bigger wetland. These wetlands were everywhere around the lake in the past. estimated to be maybe 600 hectares or more. Now it's only 1/10 left, and you can also see there is a river. It's a canal now, actually. It used to be a river. It's now a canal which connects the lake to the most important springs here. Well, the most important inflow of fresh water is from these springs, and it flows into the lake through this canal. So on the left side of the canal, you can see a little bit of the wetland. Now, unfortunately, the wetland has been severely damaged and drained. This has been going on now for many years, for several decades, more than 50 years. I'm showing you here some map where you can see what it used to be in the 70s. It was marsh, fen, and partially maybe swamp in the middle. And now we have only some remnants, and a big part of this wetland has been transformed into, especially into meadows and into agricultural land. The chapter, I provided here a little bit of the outline of the chapter, if you are interested in reading it, of course. Well, the chapter deals with the location, the characteristics of this wetland. Very specifically, we also discussed the biodiversity of the wetland. On the right, you can see a table that we provide in the chapter. I'm not going to go into details here. Importantly, there are 212 endemic species in Ohrid Lake, and some of these are present in the wetland. And especially, for example, there are diatoms which have been newly discovered in this wetland. Unfortunately, the natural connection between the wetland and the lake has been disturbed now, and this is something very urgent to be something that we need to do in order to establish again the natural connection and link between the two. We also discussed the ecosystem services, the past actions, and how this has led to the present state of the wetland. We also discussed a little bit about the political situation and governance in North Macedonia, which is unfortunately very important in this case, and the legal framework, which is not very clear now, and I will briefly mention that in a second. Well, at the end of the chapter, we also discuss some of the measures that we believe can ensure protection, or at least partial restoration, and maybe even the potential for the ecotourism in this area. Now, regarding the legal framework, I would like to mention where we stand now, right? So the Macedonian government organized in 2012 an integrated study, which was done by a company. The leader was Spirovska. In this integrated study, the proposal that this integrated study made was to designate the wetland, Studenicește wetland, as IUCN Category 3 protected area, which means natural monument, with a total of almost 64 hectares. And 1/5 of this area, one fourth of this area was supposed to be designated as a strict zone of protection. Nothing happened really until 2020, in which the government decided to repeat this in view of the continuous damaging process of the wetland. The same people were hired, and now they analyzed the wetland again, and now they came up with the proposal of Category 4, the IUCN Category 4, which is natural park. And they proposed that only 9% of this area should be designated as a zone of strict protection.
Okay, we need to wrap up.
To finish, yeah. So we were not. Yes, I only need one more minute. So unfortunately, we were not happy with this, and many other citizens initiatives and ecological groups of people. Nobody was really happy. So this has been now let to stand, and we still don't know what will happen. It's on a standby. But there is one good thing about this, and this is that we were able to put a lot of pressure on the government. And finally, in 2021, Ohrid Lake, together, specifically stating, together with Studenicește wetland, was designated as a Ramsar site. And unfortunately, the problems are going on. And together with the severe climate change that you mentioned in your introduction, really, this is a very complicated time for the survival of the wetland. And I will finish here so you can later ask or write down the questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nadezhda. This is an important link, and you really summarize and show us the threat it faces, the importance it has not only for Europe, but also for the world, and the process you went through to try to protect it. What is the recommendation? What is the tools you are using? And quite confident, it's why we are saying we are going from faith to faith, because now that is a Ramsar site. There are tools and methodology through Ramsar site to really help this lake recover and fulfill the functions it has. If you have any questions, you write down the questions. I will be moving to the next one, and then we will have at the end at least a Q&A so that you will raise your question directly, but put them on the chat already so that the author can start addressing them. Thank you very much.
I'll close now this so that I don't share with you my computer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then we will move on to the next one on the line. Sadiq, if you are have the mic and connected, if you can take the floor and present us your section.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. I am Sadiqi Zadegan from Iran, working for the Ramsar Regional Center in Center and West Central Asia. My presentation is about the inland wetland, name is Gaukhuni in Isfahan province. As you know, Iran is situated in arid area and with dry condition. This wetland is very important wetland for Iran, in central Iran, which is sometime about 50 years is listed as a Ramsar site. Satellite image from the early 1980s shows the process of water depletion of this ecological wetland to the extent that due to the lack of annual supply of 176 million cubic meters, this wetland has host on 90% of its area, and currently about 1% of its area is preserved. The minimum water required to maintain the wetland, which is started in the table, is 176 million cubic meters at the inlet of the wetland. In the current water year, Gaukhuni wetland received only about 8 million cubic meters of water, which is a small amount compared to the wetland needs. Due to the existing dire environment condition, the activity of the salt mining by continuously breaching the salt bed of the lake has caused the remaining water to evaporate more and more, and hasten the destruction of the wetland, which has irreparable result.
Sadiq,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you sharing a screen? Because we're not seeing any presentation.
I sent a presentation for Mariana. It has 5 or 6 slides. You can show it if possible.
Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you didn't tell me you wouldn't be sharing it. Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay. It's accompanied by land subsidence, evidence of which has been observed in the Isfahan and will be accelerated if the brains are harvested. You see this water is allocated for
The
agriculture.
presentation is not yet on the
Yes,
screen, so
okay.
maybe we wait a bit to get it, so we can just wait that it's come to the screen. Any success from your side, Mariana?
Yes, Brigitte, it's opening right now. It's loading right now, just 10 seconds.
Thanks. Okay. I think it's taking longer than expected. So I think you can resume because the presentation is not coming. It might be a technical hiccup there. So let us just continue.
Okay, sorry, it just seems to be very heavy. It's taking a while to load. Sorry about that.
Mr. Sadiq, maybe you continue because, yeah, I thought it will be quicker.
Yeah. The wide spreading of salt on the fields and the inland and the lands on the edge of the wetland, the loss of moisture and the adhesion of the sand in the hills on the edge of the lake, and the movement of sand towards residential and agricultural area, the spread of dangerous fine dust lying on the bed of the wetland, and the destruction of a small amount of life, plant and animal remains. Also, from an economic point of view, the financial benefit resulting from the activity of salt mining during the past decades not only didn't include the people and were allocated only to a small and special group, but also caused financial losses to farmers and tourist activities, as well as paying heavy medical expenses. You can see the text of this book, and this was very a small presentation about this wetland. Thank you for attention, and I'm ready if there is any question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sadiq. We are sorry that we are not able to share your presentation, but we will be, this is recorded, and the presentation will also be shared with everyone who is connected here. So you can have a luxury at least to see it more in detail. But thank you very much. This is also, again, a very important example of a threat to a wetland which is very important for Iran water. The salt mining and the link to the health issues toward the population, and the actions the government and the country is trying to do to mitigate these threats and at least preserve this link. So if you have any questions, please do write them on the chat. At the end, we will have also the time to ask, to have an interaction you would then be able to raise your hands and also ask your question. Thank you very much. I would now ask the next speaker at the section 1. I think, Julia, you are also speaking on section 1, right?
Yes, Birgit. Yeah, I'm in the section 1. I think I was the last speaker of that session. So if it's my turn, let me just share the screen. Do you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Super. Yes, so thank you very much, CEM and IUCN for organizing this dialogue and this webinar. I'm Julia Perez Sillero. I'm the coordinator of the International Cooperation Unit from Fundación Humedales in Colombia, and I'm here today to present you a little bit of the book chapter about Lake Fukene, ecological degradation and management mistake in an Andean lake, which was written by Mauricio Valderrama and Maria Pinilla. Briefly, I will present you the lake. Lake Fukene is a high altitude shallow lake located in the central part of the Colombian Eastern Cordillera at 2,500 meters above sea level, with a surface of 3,000 hectares, store capacity of 82.5 million cubic meters. It is a hotspot for biodiversity with more than 300 species, some of them endemic, migratory, and endangered, like the catfish or the Cystotorus apollinaris. And Fukene ecosystem services are many and diverse. It is a water, raw material, and habitat supplier. It provides food security, and it's a carbon dioxide and nitrogen fixing reservoir, and of course a risk regulator. But in Fukene we have mainly 5 challenges that is jeopardizing this ecosystem. There is a high rate of deforestation and erosion. 95% of the natural cover has been transformed to agricultural land. There is a poor hydraulic management, mainly focused on palliative intervention of drainage, and a very high use of the water for irrigation. Water quality of the lake is very poor due to pollution and contamination, mainly coming from dairy production and domestic wastewater untreated. There is a high expansion of flora and fauna, exotic flora and fauna, and we have very weak governance processes. So this has led to a very dramatic situation of the lake, and of course a decrease on its resilience and increase of the vulnerability of the communities, and of course of the vulnerability of the ecosystem itself, with rates of sedimentation very high, with a loss of 50% of the water surface. There is very serious problem of storage and regulation. We have a decrease on fish population from 80 tons in 2004 to 3 tons in 2014, which represent an extremely strong problem in food security for the communities. And we face unsustainable practices, inappropriate management policies, and a lack of articulation among the actors. So with this scenario, there has been already some actions and solutions taking place on the basin. There has been an intense process on environmental education and participatory monitoring on biodiversity and water quality. This has been a key tool, not only for the conservation of the lake, but also for the generation of reliable information for the authorities to formulate robust and participatory integrated management plans. Also, another action has been the implementation of nature-based solutions, in this case to treat domestic wastewater. In the basin, we already have 3 constructed wetlands, which are preventing the entry of around 9 tons of organic load per year in Fukene. And another, a third action, very important and crucial for the conservation of the lake, is the active participation in the participatory instruments that are already and legally established by the Colombian law. So we are part of the council basins where we sit together of the actors from the basin and discuss and monitor the performance of the environmental authority. And to end up, we have some recommendations. We have to take in mind that the Lake Fukene Basin is a complex ecosystem, as many of the wetlands that we will get to know today. So it requires a diverse, inclusive, and integrated management that promotes policies that fulfill conservation objectives, implement ecosystem-based adaptation measures, and of course consider the sustainable well-being of the communities. Also, we recommend to generate capacities on climate change, on participatory instruments, on national regulatory and global environmental policy framework, on the public and the private sectors. Another recommendation will be to adapt and implement tools for the formulation and the monitoring of best practices in agroforestry. For example, to implement silvopastoral systems and riparian buffers to prevent nutrients to reach the lake, or to recover natural forests by fostering payment for ecosystem services strategies. As well, we really highly recommend to strengthen participatory instruments by motivating and generating the capacities on the civil society to really take part of those instruments. And last but not least, we recommend to build a national, international, and regional synergies, take part of initiatives and platforms that position ecosystem-based adaptation measures as the most feasible instrument or approach to formulate, integrate management instrument for the lakes and wetlands. So that was a little bit a resume of our chapters. We are very happy to answer any of your questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julia, for this presentation, and again for sharing the importance of Lake Fukene, the role it's played. This is an example of lake which is really high in the altitude, because I think when we, in some of the presentation, we see the difference of setting, but all facing some threats from deforestation here, from pollution, from erosion, from land use practices, and which has impact on productivity, on livelihood, on food security, when we are talking about the fish decrease. But the solution also, which has been provided with nature-based solutions. So I think we have here something very interesting, from the first interaction to the second presentation to this presentation. Please write your questions to the chat, and I think we still have one last presentation on this section. I'm not sure if Africa is connected now. If yes, please go ahead, and then we will open the floor for questions to the 4 panelists we presented. Africa, are you online? Okay, I'm seeing that I was told she's not connected, so we will now maybe listen to the Q&A you have. If you have questions already on the chat to the presenters, we'll ask Mariana to help me on that, but you are free also to raise your hands and then ask your question to either the one of the 3 speakers. You can state where your to whom you are directing your questions, and if it's a contribution also, it's welcome. So the floor is open, the floor is yours. Let us have a dialogue. I'm not seeing any question on the chat. Let me see if there are hands which are raised. No. Anyone who wants to take the floor to raise any question regarding the example we have seen from Europe, from Iran, from Colombia? I do have a question to each of you. I think that when we were writing this book and facing some challenges, the actions you have raised and the recommendation you made, this book was launched, pre-launched at least 1 year ago. Have you seen any difference in the status of this lake? Have you had the opportunity to go and visit or get some feedback of what it has? Or do you have any thought of how we can use this book to raise awareness, to really move from the faith to the faith on rebuilding, restoring these wonderful wetlands which are providing us with our food, with our clean air, with our nice environment? Who want to respond to that?
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Nabila.
No, I just wanted to mention, let me just initiate the video so you can see me. I wanted to mention that at least in our case, I would say the wetland is even in worse shape now than it used to be, which was something to be expected. But I think this is we did use the book. I think it's a very important tool, you know, when you want people to, well, different parties which are involved here, and you know, you can always it's easier to give them to read the chapter, the book itself. I mean, the entire book. It's all there concentrated. So we have given the book to certain entities in North Macedonia that we thought could be at least become informed with this issue, you know. So, but we haven't seen anything big happening, especially in this case, because there is a lot of, unfortunately, there are many people who have there is land in private hands there. So it's not really clear who is supposed to do something, you know. It is the government, the local government, people who have, you know, farms there or do farming, or people who even think they can build houses or, I don't know, other tourist developments. So it's a bit of a problem in that case. But yes, we find the book very useful, and I myself have sent it to many people that I think should you know, be aware. Yes.
Thank you for your reflection and for the follow-up of using this book as a tool, because it's meant for that. And when a book is published and it's not widely shared, at least the lesson learned, which can help not only the region, but also elsewhere. It can be used elsewhere. And in that regard, I have a question from one of the participants who is asking, let me get it right. Yeah, it's Felipe who is asking. You can raise your hand, Felipe, and ask your question. Would you want to do that, or do you want me just to read the question?
If you want, I can read it myself. Thanks for
giving. Please go ahead.
Well, I'm also part of Fundación Humedales as Julia. And the question was if the other lakes in the world are thinking about implementing nature-based solutions and ecosystem-based adaptation as the most feasible approach to integrated watershed management, because that's what we want to do in Fukene, and that's what we're working on. We will have an IKI project. We are implementing an IKI project for the next 5 years almost, and that's what we want to do. And we want to know if someone else is doing it, so we can share experience and perhaps results. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. Any reaction to the other examples? Are you, for example, in Iran, Dr. Sadiq, using the nature-based solution, or Julia, do you know anything? Julia is the one who present. So anyone who is using also a nature-based solution as a tool to restore the wetlands or to address or mitigate some of the threats. Please let us have a dialogue here. Okay, maybe they will come, and the question is still open. If you think about any example you want to share with Felipe, please put it in the chat if you don't want to raise your hand, but yeah, feel free also to raise your hand and respond. I have another question to Julia from Prendas. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing well your name. And she's saying, or do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to read?
Oh, thank you. I will say, ma'am. Hello?
Yeah?
Yeah, able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead and ask your question.
Question to Ms. Julia Perez, and I have seen his her presentation on the floating vegetation have been increased so much throughout the years. So the invasive species throughout the world affecting the wetland very much, and it's a big issue, the conservation of wetland. So, what is your study or any conservation efforts takes upon invasive species management, or any studies how invasive species affecting the faunal assemblage or any species abundance? That was my question.
Thank you.
Thank you
Brenda.
very much. Yes, thank you for your question. And what it had been done in Lake Fukene with these invasive species is mainly to collect them with in a mechanical way, and to process it and use this material for conservation and restoration activities. And of course, the impact that it has is that it's covering the water surface. So of course, is generating a lack of oxygen in the water and affecting other species. So, but yeah, the most like a strong effort has been done in recollecting these species. Now we need to work on avoiding them to grow and to keep growing.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And actually, I'm working on invasive species affecting the wetlands here in Kerala, India. So I need much more reference like you all. So thank you for the answer.
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you for the answer. I know that this also is something is causing problem to the wetlands and to the river bodies when it's kind of pollution, or from either from runoff from agriculture or discharge from wastewater, eutrophication, and leading to many problems. So we will move to the next session, but we can still come back to these questions if you have, put them on the chat, and then we will have another round of question answer. I would love to ask Katrina if you are in line. So the next session will be on the riverine wetlands, and I would love to let us hear from Katrina, if you're connected, you have the floor to present the study on the riverine example for the, I think it's the water soldiers, Stratus alodes. Is Katarina Lapin connected? Mariana, can you see if she is connected? She is not. I hope that it's not the time, because she confirmed. So then I will put another head and present the other example on the Masilini River from Burkina Faso. So let me share my screen and present that. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes,
Can you confirm
perfect.
that you can see my screen?
Yes, Birgit, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So this is we are now moving in section 2 in this book on wetlands and people at risk. And this is an example of the Masili River in Burkina Faso, which was showcasing the impact of altering the natural river flow on ecosystem and the livelihood of riparian communities. So in this river, it's not a permanent river, but at least it's flowing and providing many livelihoods to the communities. It's along between the capital. You can see Burkina Faso is in West Africa, is a small country. I know that now many people know about this country because of the situation which is ongoing there. And when there is a water point in this dry land, a very dry country like Burkina Faso, any point of water is used for horticulture, for livelihood. And when you alter this, this flowing river or a lake, then it's really have impact on the population. So the challenges faced here is that there was a road linking the capital city of Ouagadougou to Djibo, which is on the north, and which was not paved. This road was, the plan was to have this road paved, but after more than 25 years of doing an environmental impact assessment, when the decision to build the road was taken, no assessment was done. If you can see in these pictures, this is everything like including cattle grazing to collecting some, to construction material, to collecting some either for the briquettes or any livelihood is coming from this region and from the fact that this water is flowing to a dryland country. So when the decision was taken to have the road paved, they just came and they put a bridge to, they blocked they put a dam without any study. So at first, the population living downstream the river who had horticulture have seen that the water start stopping to flow in. So they lost everything they have planted over there. But on upstream also there was flooding, and some mango trees, guava, all the gardens they have there was flooded, included boreholes and wells. So this also was lost. After the shock of seeing what is happening both downstream and upstream, the population said, okay, now we have a storage of water, so we will use it and we will do horticulture. So they start preparing the land, cleaning the land to have some production. You can see on these images. They started planting in the mind of not knowing if they will open, when they will be reopening the dam or it want to be open, but they will have this water. They didn't know if they will be harvesting or not. When they planted everything, the section moved very quickly. And then this road, this was the dam which was put on. They opened the dam, which was now meaning that there are no kind of water to help continue the horticulture they were doing. So there was two situations here. First, they was using the free-flowing water for their livelihood. They managed to cultivate. The government takes the decision to build a road. They block the road, and the people upstream or downstream lose everything. And the people upstream, the dam, start taking advantage of the fact that they have availability of water. They start doing some horticulture, but before they could harvest, it's also open again, and you will see the drying of the river bed. So both part of upstream and downstream of the community, they lost everything this year. So that's just to show the example of in a dryland country, and the fact that a free-flowing water has an advantage and have a benefit attached to it. That the importance of having an environmental impact assessment prior to any alteration is useful. The next lesson and recommendation is also to see the importance when we are talking about integrated water resources management, that the environment which doesn't have a voice need also to be taken into account when you are allocating, when you are blocking or reopening, because it's having impact on the environment, but it's have also an impact of the communities will really rely on this flowing water in where they in a country where you have 3 months of rainfall, and we feel the next 2 months after the rain stop, everything evaporate and everything disappear. So that's the lesson, the example of this wetland we wanted to share from the West Africa, a small country around the western corner of the Africa. So that's the example for the section of riverine wetlands, and I will put my other heads and let me stop sharing, and then ask if you have any question or if you have listening to any question you have on this. And if in meantime you had Katerina connected, then she will also present the next case study on the riverine wetlands we have. You have the floor. Anyone who want to interact here? I'm not seeing any hands. I'm not seeing any question on this chat. Am I missing something, Mariana? No? Okay, there are no other questions, but there are some comment. I see some comment from Sarah Pierce. Can you share maybe what you wanted to say on the mapping using the Landsat data? Do you want to elaborate a bit on that? I'm seeing a comment on mapping using Landsat 8 data, and if anyone is interested. Do you want to elaborate if you are connected? Okay, if there are no other questions on here, I'm seeing a hands, but I don't know which one. Can you please take the floor?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, Joseph, go ahead, please.
Yes, about the situation in Burkina Faso. My question is there any regulation for environmental study before that, the construction of that infrastructure in Burkina Faso? Because in Benin, we have a regulation, but we noticed that when is a development project coming from the government, they don't follow the regulation. And when they have a big impact in the community, civil society don't have a power to change anything. This is very common here in Benin. What is the situation really at that place? Are there some group who help that community to have some answer for the problem from the government? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josiah. I think that it's the common because there are regulations. And if you look into the regulation on any project need to have a environmental impact assessment. But sometimes you will see that when a project gets funded, they will do an environmental impact assessment. But by the time the implementation of this project, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years can lapse before the real implementation. And there are no kind of going and revisiting what is happening. So this is one case sometimes you can find in this country, particularly in Burkina. But the other thing is that we do have some regulation, which is really very well written, but very well also put on shelters with a lot of dust on them, meaning that the regulation are there, but the implementation or the enforcement to implement it are not there. So it's why these communities, even if they complain, they are associations, but when a project comes, you know, sometimes it's a kind of looking into for years, this linked between these two cities didn't have a paved road. So the population also need a paved road. They see it as a development. But then when they raise the voice on seeing what they have lost during the implementation of this road, no one is listening to them because they're saying, you have a road now, we cannot do, for example, an omelette without breaking the eggs. And yeah, the issue is there because I think that there are no strong enforcement of the regulation and laws we have. And there are also no strong voice from civil society to really help address the issue and the situation this community are facing. So that's what I can share. But thank you for the question, because I think this is really common, at least for this part of the world. Any other question? If not, I would love to maybe give you a snapshot on section 3 and section 4. And after that, then we could move to the final Q&A and conclusions for this webinar. So on section 3, we had seen the first wetlands, terrestrial wetlands, the riverine wetlands, and then we have the islands wetlands, which are with the example of Negumbo estuary of Sri Lanka. And this example, unfortunately, due to the time difference, the author couldn't connect, but it's an estuary which is very rich, but also very fragile. It gives the patterns and the challenges was on land use and with full of mangrove, seagrass, and coral reefs. But due to the management, to a lack of management, it was threatened to disappear, and they succeeded to put into place some management plans. And with the follow-up, let me share the image of this lake.
Your microphone. Your microphone.
Birgit, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
Mariana, he's unmuted. Maybe you can open his microphone.
I see her microphone as unmuted. Birgit, can you check if your microphone is muted?
Me stop sharing because when I start sharing, my mic was mute and I cannot unmute it. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, when I went to share this presentation, my mic was mute and I couldn't do anything. So this was the example of the estuary coastland and the estuary and coastland wetlands. And the second one was also the example of the Guardiana River estuary, which again showed the example of damming and to extract salt. And by doing these activities of extraction, it's increase the salinity of the lakes, which leads to the loss of biodiversity, the loss of the death of some of the fauna, aquatic fauna. So, and they had again to come up with some measure to see how they can mitigate the extraction of salt and the management to help restore this lake. So this was what was featured in section 3, and section 4 was about all the island wetlands with the example of the Great Pond, the Laguna, the Maya, which on agriculture, and also the pollution due to this, what the real threat the island wetlands are facing. So just to give you an overview of what is in this book, the link is shared in the chat, so you can download it, you can access it, you can read it and explore it and share it widely. So unfortunately, the two other sections, the authors were not able to join us, but now that I have given you a kind of overview, we are open to take any of the question you have or any of the intervention. If there are also solutions which you have experienced or implemented elsewhere, we are also happy to listen to that. So the floor is open. We have at least 10 minutes to interact if you do want to jump in and share your experience, because this is meant to be really a dialogue. Who want to take the floor? Anyone who want to share their experience or have a questions or a suggestion, the solution they have implemented elsewhere in the world? For 1, for 2, for 3. Mariana, any question? I'm not seeing. If there are no question, and I think you, then we will just go to the closing. If you don't have any question or experience to share with us. Okay, so
sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, and this is a very general question. I just wanted to know what the IUCN thinks about the book, or you know, about whether there is also sharing with other people who are not authors of the book or the institutions into which they belong. So what is the, if you have information about the, you know, the range in which this book has been, I don't know, made available to other people, you know, because we can do this by ourselves, I know, but I would like to know about the IUCN participation and opinion about the book and its interest.
Yeah, thank you, Nazda. Mariana, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, sure, I can answer this question. Well, we actually launched this book a couple of months ago. Birgi was there at the event during the Ramsar COP. So we had a very successful launching of the book in that event. I think Birgi can share a little bit more if that was what that event was like. We had other panelists, not only authors from the book, but international speakers touching on the importance and the relevance of wetlands. That was the official launching of the book, so that was a quite successful event. The event is also recorded and it's online, so you can also watch that. I can send you the link in a few minutes. The book has been it's been online for already a few months. I think that was launched at the beginning of this year, if I'm not wrong, Birgi. We've had over 70, last time I checked, over 75 downloads of the book. So people are interested. We have had several inquiries of people wanting to know more. We do have a specialist group in the commission of, in the IUCN Commission of Ecosystem Management. So we have had also people from there being interested. We have had several discussions between Claudio, one of the other editors of the book. So there has been a few interactions regarding the case studies in the book. I can also send you the link of the specialist group on wetlands, where there's some more of the authors and other people deepening on these topics of the wetlands. But I think it's moving forward. We're trying to do more and more events. We're trying to host events such as this one to promote a bit more of the book, and we are always open to new opportunities and to new spaces. If you have any events or congresses or things where you would like to share the book, we're happy to support that and to keep and to continue having a bigger impact with the book.
Thank you very much, Mariana. I think that's we are still continuing to share, and this webinar also is we're meant to give a place and a platform to the authors to present their work, and this is still ongoing. I would love to give each of the panelists at least like 1 or 2 minutes if you have any your last word, what you want to leave to the audience. So I will start with maybe Sadiq. Each of you, what is your last word, last recommendation before we come to the closing? Dr. Sadiq. Is still connected? If not, Nazda, your last word?
Yeah, well, I think we should try to maybe collaborate more, you know, more contact with people. What you were asking about, people who have, I mean, wetlands that have experienced some improvement or better restoration or better protection. I think maybe we have, I feel that I can improve that on that part, because sometimes we are stuck, or we think we are stuck in an environment, we think nobody else has our situation, and then it's somewhere, it's maybe something that has been going on in many other countries in similar circumstances. So I particularly enjoyed the talk about the lake in Iran, because Prespa Lake is suffering a dramatic loss of water. That's another issue, which is a completely different story now, but that's why, you know, we are also facing that as a major problem. You know, Oak Ridge Lake and Prespa Lake are connected, so whatever happens to one will affect the other, and especially the water from Prespa Lake goes to Oak Ridge Lake. So if Prespa Lake suffers a major loss of water, this will affect Oak Ridge. So yes, that was something I really found interesting. I will read the chapter in greater detail and probably contact the authors. So that is something I think we can improve, which is collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is really important. That the message I took here is that we could continue sharing, but also learning from the experience from other parts of the world. And the observation you made with the linkages of these ecosystems, you know, the good things, and sometimes also the threatening thing is that they don't have border, they don't need visa, they don't need passport, they just are kind of flowing freely. So it's why our action should be also mindful on upstream and downstream damages. Thank you very much. Julia, your last word.
Yes, Birgit, thank you very much. Well, I fully agree with the collaboration, with the information and exchange of experience that is really important. But I also want to highlight that we need to reach institutions, reach government, and make them really fully understand what is their roles in the conservation of those wetlands, because we cannot have all the weight in our hand and in our shoulders. So we really need to share with them this kind of documents, share with them all of this experience that is happening all over the world, to make them really understand and really take their role and take their obligation and responsibilities.
Thank you very much, Julia. I think that just on time, I'm seeing one of the coordinator, the one who, the main editor of this book, Connected. Welcome, Claudio. We went through the presentations. I was giving the authors at least 1 minute to reflect, to give a last wording before we came to the closing. And the good thing is that we all agree that it's this book is still a tools which we can use to move from faith to faith, to move from threaten the wetlands to really trying to use them to restore it, sharing the lesson learned, what we learn from one part of the world, and use it in other part of the globe. So yeah, we still need to continue sharing the book. And I see one hand before giving you the floor, Claudio. Please, Georgia, take the floor.
Okay, just to say thank you for this initiative, but I have some idea. I want to advise if there is another topic. We suggest that your team, if it is possible, work on the coastal development. The wetlands in the coastal development in our region is very critical. And we want to know what is going on at other parts in the world. But in our size, like they are constructing some road, they are putting some light on the beach, is very critical. But we don't have power like the civil society to give advice to our government. And we want to learn about what happened at other sites and to see what we can do in our region. Will be interesting to, if you have a topic like that, to be a part of our case study and share some information about what we are seeing in our site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josiah. I think that this will be a topic interesting to the Commission of Ecosystem Management. So I think that Mariana has taken note and can put you in link with the the groups working on wetland, because then we have several groups, even one on urban ecosystem, which is also dealing with some coastal. So yeah, we'll get back to you. If you can drop your email for everyone here, then she can take note and link you with the Commission of Ecosystem Management to see how this can have a platform to talk about it and share other experience from other worlds. So I just want to thank you, everyone. I thank you very much. And then for taking time to connect, I thank the authors for being patient, for leading this important project to the end. And then for this book, which now we all have a task to share it and to really make it available, to use it so that this can serve the purpose. So I will give the floor to Claudio to give us his word and word of his remarks and also a closing remark. Claudio, over to you.
Hi, good morning to everybody. Thank you. I'm sorry I was late because I am now attending a Fisheries Congress at Cancun, Mexico, based on Latin American fisheries. So, but I made some slot to participate. I'm really interested because I believe that this book can make some changes. And it's interesting that I told you that originally the book was called Wetland at Risk. That was the original title. However, when we progress with the book, we noted that we needed to include the people because this is a key link between people and wetlands, particularly when wetlands are in a healthy state. So when wetlands become deteriorated, impacted by different sources, this is a very bad notice for the people that depends of wetlands ecosystems, so ecosystem services. So with this perspective in view, we decide to include and modify the title, and the title of the book became People and Wetlands at Risk. So this is the idea. The idea of the book is to show at different scales for different actors, different public, how wetlands can be a key provider of services for people, and how is something that you cannot split. People need the wetlands, but also the wetlands need the people that try to conserve the wetlands and restore the wetlands. So this is a very strong link. Well, the idea is this: we have shared this idea among the editors that this should be the approach. The approach is to include the people inside the wetlands, and of course work together and try that despite wetlands are a minor proportion perhaps in the world, when you compare with other water bodies, wetlands play a key role for food security, for livelihoods, for employment, etc., etc. So thank you for all the authors, my colleagues, the co-editors, and hope, well, this is only the first step.
Thank you very much, Claudio, and thank you to everyone. Mariana, thank you very much for setting and facilitating us to be on this virtual world, to share the book and also to interact. And as Claudio said, this is just the beginning, so we will look into other opportunities and try to have also more of the authors comes and share this with us. So thank you very much. And there are some links which has been dropped in the chat with regard to taking, you can download the book, but also what has been shared at the official launch at the Ramsar COP of this book. So please download it, use it. And if you have any comment, don't hesitate to reach out. The CM, Mariana has put her email address there, so you could really reach out and share. So thank you very much. Claudia, you want to say something?
Yes, sorry, yes. I want to add something very important. I want to acknowledge the support from IUCN, because this book was not for free. Book has cost, and IUCN has supported, particularly Angela, who from the beginning understood that this was an important contribution. I also want to remark that, of course, we have marine and freshwater wetlands, but in generally, when you see at a big scale, most of the support has been done for marine environments. So freshwater is is being increasingly recognized as a key actor as well. And this is, in my view, the big contribution of the IUCN with this book. So thank you also for the Ecosystem Commission.
Yeah, thank you, Claudio. Yeah, in fact, this book wouldn't be launched, wouldn't even be edited or put on to the world without the contribution and the push from the Commission of Ecosystem Management and from the specialist group of wetlands, which Claudio himself is leading. And this helped to pull together different authors from all around the world. Angela, who is the chair of the Commission of Ecosystem Management, had planned to join us, had also planned to send us a video to start this, but unfortunately she's stuck in a meeting like you, Claudio, and internet was not there, so that, Mariana, please extend our gratitude and our thanks to Angela and to the Commission of Ecosystem Management for helping put together the book, but also for facilitating this dialogue we had today. So thank you to all, and I wish you a very even good morning, good afternoon, or good evening here where I am. Speak to you on another day, on another event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Virgie. Thank you, Mariana.
Thank you.